and gentlemen, welcome to another Dish Shelter Confusion Thursday Night Hangout.
Hello, good sir. How goes it on this quite lovely Thursday here in the ones and zeros?
I am doing all right. Ladies and gentlemen, I, of course, am your host, Charlie, and I'm joined once again by the prolific comer himself, Zealeus.
So, I have some tragic news.
Oh, no.
I finally made the plunge and given in to the way of the Kindle.
Ah, that's not
Well,
tragic. Welcome to
so
the Brotherhood.
my main reason is I'm going to Zimbabwe next week,
Yep.
and I'm going to be in a plane for like 40 hours. And it's like, wait a second. The iPad where I can load books galore on there versus, having these giant tomes of books that like take up half your suitcase just to fit 2 books and your carry-on. I'm like, okay, I now see the appeal of using the Kindle for reading, especially when you travel.
Yeah. Yes, there's that. And I did find, I don't know if I said this last week, but I did find a way to upload all those ebooks from the Dragonlance Humble Bundle onto my Kindle. I just have to finish the book I'm currently reading, and then I will once again be reading Legend of Huma because that's what I do.
Do you have are you going to read any of the others, or is he just going to maybe play it by ear?
Okay, so Legend of Huma, absolutely, and then I'm trying to remember what the other ones were. I think it's like there's like the dragons of right? Was that in that Humble Bundle?
I mean, they're all dragons because they're the dragons of autumn, twilight, winter, and spring, blah, 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 blah.
Hold on. I'm going to cheat and look this up here so I can make sure. I was going to read Legend of Huma, followed by Kaz the Minotaur.
Yep.
And then I was going to go Dragons of the Dwarven Depths, Dragons of the High Lord Skies, and Dragons of the Hourglass Mage.
Interesting. Why are you picking that trilogy?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever read that one. Or I could go the Amber route, which is Amber and Ashes, Amber and Iron, and Amber and Blood.
I feel like I read those like many years ago.
Yeah.
I think, and I always say that because I have the books. It's one of those things where like I have the books, but I don't actually remember reading them. So I'm like, did I read them? I just don't know.
Well, one of the books in there is Kindermore, and I know that I've owned it, but I don't think I've ever read it.
I'm guessing that's about Kaz or Taz, whatever.
Yeah, Taz.
His name is. Taz.
I think so. All right. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, since we've gone off on this wonderful tangent, this is the Thursday Hangout. It's a live show where I try our best to cover the topics most important to you during the show. At any point during the show, if you have any topics, questions, subjects, opinions that you want to share with the class, please do so, be it on Twitch, on YouTube, or on Facebook. Our streaming software apparently has added the ability to stream to Kick, but I haven't set anything up for that. I'll have to look into that.
Come on, let's kick, bro, and see what happens.
I just don't want to be accidentally like somehow like mislabeled and it be. I know for a while that you could do like porn on there, so I don't want to be porn.
I don't know. Maybe that's what we're missing the viewers. Maybe we need to open up our creativity streams here.
Anyways, ladies
and
gentlemen,
we can start taking off our hats and see where it goes from there.
Taking off our hats and see where it goes from there. No one needs to see what's underneath our hats.
You got to start somewhere, man.
Anyways, let's start off with some stories, shall we? The first is it's kind of disappointing, especially from my kids' point of view, and that is that the animation company, the animation producer of the movie Dogman, Jellyfish Pictures, has shut down.
Okay.
And they were doing pretty good.
I don't know the show. I'm not a kid. Well, I'm a kid, but not a kid.
So this is it's a British company. called Jellyfish Pictures Limited. They paused all their operations while exploring all options for sale and investment, and is now shutting down. This is part of the ongoing turmoil in the global animation and VFX industries. They
every
did.
Industry right now is going through this, I feel like.
Yes. I mean, heck, I believe, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that I read something along the lines of the first like recognized video game developer union was also formed in the U.S. recently.
I did see that. They actually had a, I think it was in Washington, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Someplace in Washington, they actually had like a little walkabout, which I fully support.
Yes. Anyway, so Jellyfish Pictures released a statement earlier this month saying that the long tail impact of COVID, coupled with the rising costs of the fallout from the writer and actor strikes, are basically part of the reason why they're doing this. There were 69 employees still there, and they have all been laid off. So
I mean, it's never fun because I mean that's 69 people's lives uprooted.
Yeah.
And as we're seeing right now, and basically anything technology related, it's a shit show to try to find a job. Yes. Unfortunately, yes. It's definitely a contraction. Many reasons to blame for it, but it sucks no matter what.
Yes, I mean, I know that a couple of weeks ago we talked about the fact that there's been several issues with animation studios, especially around anime, with a lot of burnout and like mental health crises because of the breakneck pace that they're having to go on. And then, of course, you couple that with the inconsistent release schedules where, season 1 and 2 may be like released back to back, but like season 3 is 4 or 5 years later. One, because maybe the source material hasn't caught up to it, or two, internal struggles. The companies take on too many projects. Who knows?
Yeah, it's
gone are the days where the vast majority of the anime, at least that came through the U.S., was 26 episodes and you done. Now, of course, with this new model of basically we pump out 12 episodes per season.
I mean, that was the world that you were raised on, anime, which I've only really gotten anime in the last year or two.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I almost feel like in the last like 2 or 3 years, just kind of looking through like Crunchyroll, it seems like it's been a lot of new stuff.
Yes.
It's almost like a new generation of anime, I guess is the best way I can put it. And like you said, that's what I've noticed is you're right. They're all short. When I say short, I mean like the 10, 12 episodes is what I've kind of seen in them all. So it's almost like you've seen all these new ones start. It's almost like the Netflix model. Create a bunch of shit, see what happens, see if it sticks to the wall. And you'll probably see a lot of those shows not last more than a year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if they do, you still have to wait a year or two between, between seasons.
And once again, I know I've mentioned this before, but it's kind of a vicious cycle where do I want to start season 1? I'm like, no, wait till season 2 comes out.
Yep.
But then people like me that are killing the metrics to renew for season 2 in the first place.
Yep.
So, yeah.
But yeah. So sad day for Jellyfish. Yep. Now, speaking of sad days, look, this is why we can't have nice things. This is how I'm going to phrase it. Ladies and gentlemen, when you travel abroad to different countries, you need to show any place, any person, respect and gratitude. Don't be morons. There is a Shinto shrine in Japan that's actually featured in a video game, which I will always butcher the second part of this. It's Ghost of, I think it's Tsushima. I think the T is silent, or it's Tsushima, whatever. I just, basically the shrine has been completely shut down. No one can visit, no matter if you're Japanese or foreign. No one can do it. And the reason why, because no one knows the exact details, but the reason that the I believe it's monks that are there are giving is that unacceptable act of disrespect was committed by foreigners.
Not cool. And of course, then that ruins it for everyone.
Yes.
Which, yeah, people are ass jerks.
I mean, you wouldn't want someone coming in your house and doing, disrespectful stuff to your property. So why would you think it's okay to do it to theirs?
Because it's all about me.
Of course.
I mean, unfortunately, it's a narcissistic thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's crappy. I think we can all agree on that. Don't be an asshat.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Now, a bit of comic book news, because we're just bouncing all over the place today. Marvel has made it very, very clear that if they do a reboot comic of Spider-Man, there will never, ever, 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 ever be another Peter Parker marries Mary Jane storyline. Don't know why, but they're like, nah, it's not going to happen. Which I find kind of weird.
But at the same time, it's a comic book.
True.
So you say never now, and it's like, I mean, characters die, and all of a sudden they somehow come back, and maybe it's from an alternate universe, maybe it's a resurrection spell. Who knows? So when it comes to comic books, like, I don't think the word never actually exists, to be honest. It's just not a thing, because it's comic books. That's the whole point, is you can do whatever the crap you want, and that's kind of the beauty of it in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever. I mean, I've enjoyed the movies, but I've actually never really been a comic book person in the first place. So me, I'm kind of like, whatever.
I was, when I was like in like third or fourth grade, I did there was a local comic book store that you could basically buy, subscribe, and then they collect a certain set of comics that you would get, like, I think it's every month. And mine was always Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. Oh, there's a third one. I can't remember what it is now. Shoot. Oh, it was Spider-Man 2099.
I do miss comic book stores, because I had a buddy. I remember we'd go to the comic book stores, and I know it's been largely taken over by really manga at like the bookstores.
Yep.
But like, I don't think if you were in that generation, like our generation, and really people older than us, was even more prevalent.
Yeah.
Like, the dingy old comic book store where you just had stacks of random comic books, and there's just a certain atmosphere. You probably remember Sword of the Phoenix.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Was awesome. And they had Oxford Bookstore down on Peachtree Road, or
well, they had Oxford Bookstore, but they also had Oxford Comics.
Weren't they attached, if I remember right?
Once upon a time, but then Oxford Books closed, and then there was one location of Oxford Comics that might still actually be there.
I don't think I ever went to that one. I'm thinking of I'm thinking like 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
When, it was one attached store, and I remember you had a coffee place you could actually go.
Yep.
That was
Is it the one in Roswell?
Yeah, it was like in downtown. It was ITP. I remember that much.
Oh, ITP?
It was definitely ITP.
Because there was one that was on Roswell's just inside the perimeter.
It was around Phipps Plaza. I want to say it's around that kind of area.
Oh, okay. That would be Oxford Comics.
But it was a bookstore also at the time.
Oh, you know what? It could be. Okay, now that we're playing, there
I
there was an
100%
Oxford
know.
there was an Oxford bookstore down on Peachtree, just past Christ the King.
I'm sure that's what I'm thinking of because I 100% remember being. It was like a funky shaped building too.
That's
Um,
probably well. That one was in a shopping center.
I don't think this one was. I think it was standalone.
Okay, well
My
then
mom would know for sure because we went there all the time. And she's one of
maybe.
those people who have like the memory of gods. She would know exactly where I'm thinking of.
Okay, well, anyways,
But regardless, it's the same concept. We're like, it's those old nostalgic bookstores that
yeah.
just had character to them.
Oh yeah.
You have books and you have comics and you have like nice sitting places where you can just hang out and read and not feel like there's bad lumbar support to intentionally prevent you from sitting there for more than 10 minutes. Yeah. And yeah, those were fun.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. But alas.
Yes, alas, they're very few and in between. There's one over in Decatur. For those who are in the Atlanta area, or hell, anywhere in the U.S. Just remember that Free Comic Day comes in May. So that's always fun to do. And of course, when I went and took my boys to Free Comic Day, they wanted only the comics that cost money. They didn't want the free comics. Like, you sons of guns.
Smart little kids.
Yes. Anywho. All right. Back on the list here of topics. Sorry, I had to change pens. I can't find the right pen, so the ink's a little bit lighter. So if I'm like squinting, it's because like with this low light, it's maybe it's my advanced age. I don't know, but it's hard to read my own handwriting. How about the fact that in the for like the second time in like a month or two, there has been a case of in quotes here, game on Steam actually being a front to installing a shit ton of malware on your computer.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's obviously not cool, but at the same time, I'm not surprised that people figured out like, wait, this is a fantastic vector to get some malware on people's computers and make a quick buck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe this is yet another. Okay, so this is the game in question was, because by now Steam has removed it, but it was called Sniper Phantom's Resolution, and the description. But here is this is how shady as all get out this was, and I don't understand how people were dumb enough to actually follow through with this. Okay, so instead of offering the free demo via Steam distribution, the entire point of being on Steam,
yep.
The description instructed would-be players to download the demo on GitHub. The link would send them to a download that would install cookie interceptors and Node.js scripts. Basically, this was intended to evade Windows security and send personal info elsewhere.
Nice.
And it is nice to see that the GitHub pages and the associated accounts to this have been removed as well.
Yeah, if you're in Steam, a good first step is never leave Steam if it asks you to.
Yeah.
The game should be entirely enclosed within Steam, unless you're one of those crazy Skyrim modders.
The only time I've actually been on Steam and clicked on something and you get the warning of you're about to leave Steam, is this okay? Is if like it's a game that I've played and I want to actually look at the company website, because there's that link on the Steam page most of the time that will take you to the company website. That one I'm like, yes, but if it's click here to actually download the thing, no. That boggles my mind that people would be like, oh, that makes total sense. Yeah, I'm not going to get it through Steam. I'm just going to go to a shady ass, what do you call it, repository and and just download random shit onto my computer.
Seems like a great idea.
Yeah, fantastic. Brilliant. Smart people out there.
So, quick tangent. Going back really quick to Oxford Books. We brought me down a rabbit hole. And there was a remembering article from 2014.
Yeah, man.
That just gives you the idea of like how long ago this was. It was Far Road.
Nice. Oh yeah, I know. No, that was Oxford. That's Oxford Comics.
It turned into Oxford Comics, like that. Yeah, that's the
right. But that's where it was that standing for as like the last beacon of hope.
Indeed, against the rising tide of corporate bookstores in the form of Barnes and Noble.
And now Barnes and Nobles. If you go into the Barnes and Nobles by Perimeter Mall, the entire section that used to be like movies and music CDs is now the manga section.
What still amazes me about Barnes and Noble is how big their Harry Potter section still is.
And they keep adding stuff because it's all the tchotchkes now. It's all
you're right. It feels like it has got larger. That's probably what stood out. Is every time I go, I'm like, there's more Harry Potter shit here.
Yep.
And now that you mentioned, you are right that it seems like they are going more into selling the tchotchke stuff versus books.
Yep. Well, you got to have your accessories and extras to show your true Potter hood. Speaking of which,
are you saying that next week we should have like our Harry Potter capes of whatever house we're in?
I need my Ravenclaw robe dry cleaned first. Thank you very much.
You can just clean it in the sink with some Dawn dish soap. It'll be fine.
That's not how that works, Zealeus. And if that's how you clean your stuff, then that's a problem.
That's how I clean everything. Come on, bro.
Okay, that's a problem. No, speaking of Harry Potter, to continue on this tangent, did you hear that Hagrid has been cast for the new TV series?
I actually did not. Who is the Hagrid?
Nick Frost.
Okay, that actually makes sense.
Yes, finally, one that makes sense. I'm like, yes, that works.
Yes, I'm all about Nick Frost is actually Hagrid. That's gonna be a fantastic role.
That's like perfect. That's spot on.
Yeah, I can definitely appreciate that.
Not that I don't think that some of the other actors and actresses that have been chosen can do their roles, but this one is like a dream cast for me. This is yes. I can immediately see him as Hagrid. It's not one of those he might be able to do it situations where I have to see it to actually, pass judgment.
Yeah. Whereas this is a role that's going to work.
Oh God, yes.
I have no doubt. So I also appreciate actually having an actor that we know of with experience, has done things, been in shows, been successful.
Has that comedic feel to it, but can also be serious.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And that is actually, you're right. That is Hagrid because he is kind of comedic relief, but he also had those moments. So.
Yep, where he had to step up.
Yeah.
Okay, now, wow, this tangent actually works perfectly because our next topic has to do with Hogwarts Legacy. There is an unannounced DLC that has unfortunately been canceled, and the reason, part of the reason is that, some of the reasons I should say. First of all, partially to blame is the cost-cutting measures that Warner Brothers Game is doing to basically all of their stuff. Another reason is that the sequel to Hogwarts Legacy is in full swing. The development is in full swing, so trying to get extra people to push another piece of DLC onto the existing product. Apparently Warner Brothers is like, no, it's too costly. We're not going to do it.
Which, the thing with, I get it, but at the same time, Hogwarts Legacy is one of the best-selling games.
Yeah.
people who played Hogwarts Legacy, by and large. So I've mentioned before, previous on the show, where like a lot of games, I think what happens is the original IP comes out, and whether it's great or bad, a DLC comes out later, and people have already forgotten about it.
Yep.
But I really think Hogwarts Legacy is one of those games, because it is freaking Hogwarts.
Yep.
That if you come with the DLC, I guess, what is this, 2 years later now?
Yep, because it came out in 2023.
I would buy that the day it comes out.
Yeah.
I 100%, and especially if they went all in on like the exploration of, I don't know, I'm just randomly throwing it out there, the British castle.
Right.
Because we were in freaking British. I don't know. What's one of the other castles, man? What's one of the countries they were in?
Germany?
Thank you, Germany. Crumb. We'll take Crumb's country of Germany.
Oh, was that Germany?
Bulgaria?
Maybe. He played for the Bulgarian national team.
Okay. A non-UK castle. How's that? And that kind of becomes your central hub of exploration. Like, I would buy the DLC just to explore a different castle. Like, it was that awesome. So, on one hand, yes, cutting costs, yay, MBAs win again. On the other hand, people would have bought that shit in droves.
Yep.
But what do you do?
Well, there's one in Japan, and there's one in the Amazon rainforest. So,
you know, it's really so. Last week we had a story about, wasn't it Skyrim that had like the 60-hour mod that people created?
Yeah, the DLC.
Can you imagine Hogwarts Legacy if it had the modding capability of like the Skyrim games?
There'd be some crazy stuff that would be made for that.
Like if you think Skyrim had a freaking modding scene, like Hogwarts Legacy would have been like,
oh, insane.
It would have been so good. Like, and people would have created these crazy castles. So kind of sad we didn't get that. We're not going to get that because, I mean, I'm not in the mods. It's never been my thing. But yeah, if they had modding for Hogwarts, I think people would be all over that shit.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
But that's why I'm not an MBA, because it doesn't make my company directly money, and therefore we can't do it. Yeah.
Okay. For those out there who remember the PSP, you know, that PlayStation Portable device, not the PSP Go, but the actual PSP, not the PS Vita, but the actual PSP. There was 2 rhythm games that came out that were like amazing. And it does now appear that those rhythm games, Patapon 1 and 2, they are going to have a remastered collection that's going to head to the Switch.
Huh. Interesting. So from PlayStation Go, the PSP, sorry, not the PlayStation Go, just the PSP, to the Nintendo Switch.
Now, that's okay. It is going other places as well, but the big one that makes a lot of sense is the Switch. It's also going to PlayStation 5 and the PC. They're supposed to be simultaneously released on all 3 of those platforms, July 17th of 2025.
Interesting. What's the name of the game?
Patapon. Patapon.
Patapon. Interesting.
Dude, I believe that Patapon was featured in the first ever Hawk and Steve webcomic.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I've been giving you grief about that one lately.
I know.
You just triggered a memory. I'm gonna have to keep that in the back of my mind.
Anyways, so, but yeah, Patapon.
So you'll be excited about that one, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I'll be very interested to see if my youngest will give the game a spin, because he's the more musically inclined of my 2 boys, and I think that he would actually get a kick out of it.
Cool.
Yeah. So Patapon is coming back. I also heard that there's going to be a new entry into Guitar Hero at some point in the future.
Does it mean all of your old guitars that may or may not work can be used?
No, well, I'll never know now because I had to. They were so nasty, I had to throw them away.
No.
It was nasty.
I'm sure it was. Yeah.
And the other thing is, if you've ever played a Guitar Hero or Rock Band or whatever other variation of music thing, you do know that you could just use a controller. You didn't actually have to use the guitar.
I don't want to use a controller to play the Guitar Hero games.
Come on, Zealeus.
Sorry. The whole point is it's Guitar Hero. It's not called Controller Hero.
I know.
If I wanted to play that, I'd just play God of War or something.
I just do what do you call it? Quick time event game.
Yes.
Hit X now to duck. Now, what are you thinking about, Zealeus?
No, I was like, what about like Guitar Hero with VR? I'm thinking of like an air guitar game.
I would be a little bit concerned about the latency of you trying to your strumming motion or
because I'm just thinking of it like I'm not thinking of like an NBA who's all in about the money, but I'm thinking about it like as a well, actually no. So there is Ragnarok does it. So Ragnarok. So basically, Ragnarok's a rhythm music game that played on the PS5 VR, and basically you're playing, you're hitting bongos or drums, whatever you call them. So it is doable, and I don't really feel like it has an issue tracking. It's more so just I don't have any rhythm, as you know. That's the bigger issue.
Oh, I know.
But now that I'm thinking about it, it does kind of suck without tactile feedback.
Yeah, that would be
because trying to like hit the drum because basically like you're aiming for a spatial area, which is really hard to do without having like hitting something. So the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, actually, no, it's a terrible idea.
Well, there's also
is it like sorry, it works with Ragnarok because you're hitting two drums,
right?
So like you're just doing this, so it works, which is very different than like a guitar trying to like see fingers and shit would be terrible.
Yeah, no, I mean along the same lines as the game you were describing. You know, the MetaQuest has a couple of like I don't call them lightsaber games. I call them the light baton games because you have like short sabers. And you're trying to like break the objects as they come at you in a pattern. So I could see that. I could see like a drumming situation, game working.
Yeah, a Guitar Hero or guitar drumming would work, but anytime you get like into something like where you want that feedback, I agree, it would not work very well.
But and even with the slicing and dicing or drum beat, some kind of feedback would be nice.
Yes, there are definitely times when feedback would be nice. I agree.
Anyways, so Patapon is coming in July.
Nice. It does. I did look it up quickly. It looks like a very intriguing option.
Well, it's cool because your beat is what keeps your troops moving. And being able to defeat the bad guys in a side scroller game,
which is different than just playing Guitar Hero and trying to get through a song.
Exactly.
I like the idea of it. I'm definitely gonna have to look into that one.
Yeah. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna pause real quick to thank the individuals who help Alter Confusion be the Alter Confusion that you love and enjoy. And that, of course, these, of course, are the friends of the show. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. The first up is the Indie Cluster. The Indie Cluster is an organization of independent game developers that want to gain exposure by being involved in the community. They collectively journey to popular conferences as a traveling booth to help gain attention for their games. They collectively journey to popular conferences as a traveling booth. Oh, wait. Oh, my God. Did I really just read that again? Yes, I did. They make partnerships in local communities to bring games to the mainstream mindset. They highlight local, unusual, and rare concepts to challenge the paradigm of the common. They also host events to teach kids and minority groups about game development to hopefully one day enter the industry themselves. For more information, go to indiecluster.com. The next one up is, of course, the AV master himself. And that, of course, is Noodle Boy Media. Founded in 2015 by Andrew Tran, Noodle Boy Media, previously White Kid 47 Media, is your choice for professional photo shoots and panel recordings at conventions. They pride themselves in providing a high level of professionalism, top-notch experiences, and quality services. If you want more information and to view their full list of services, check out facebook.com/noodleboymedia. The next shout out I got to give is to an individual who was actually at my house today to help get some of those aches and pains out of my shoulders and my back from sitting in front of a computer for too long, and that, of course, is Hero Chiropractic. Hero Chiropractic is a unique healthcare practice set up by Ryan Moore, the company's focus to elevate a patient's experience of freedom, creative expression, and joy. They believe that everyone can be a hero and has incredible heroic potential inside themselves waiting to be unleashed. Hero Chiropractic focuses on mobile chiropractic care in the greater Atlanta area. They are committed to healing clients by creating a plan of action uniquely suited for each person. They make that plan of action as convenient and affordable as possible, and most importantly, suited to your individual needs. For more information, go to herochiropractic.com. The next shout out we got to give is to the music maestro himself, and that, of course, is CrossPad Creative. Need a new logo or want to work on a full branding and content strategy? Or maybe you need music or audio for your content? Just like Ultra Confusion, CrossPad Creative offers a whole host of solutions for individuals and small businesses. Just email Josh at crosspadcreative@gmail.com and see what he can do for you. And the final shout out we got to give is to the original patron backer of Ultra Confusion. That, of course, is Agile Axiom. By day, Axe leads and both the development team and system administration team working with satellites at NASA's Goddard campus. But while not in meetings and many times during, he is the Agile evangelist Agile X, championing the philosophy of Agile and trying to make the world a better place for software developers, testers, system admins, and software projects the world over. Decades of experience in software development and leading Agile teams are brought to bear against evil processes, inefficient work, and bad habits. If you want to know more, go to agileaxiom.com. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know at this very moment in time you are dying to know, how do I become a friend of the show? Well, it's quite simple. Ladies and gentlemen, Ultra Confusion survives the love and support of fans like you, and so we have a Patreon page. Patreon lets you, the fans, lovers, haters, demigods, interdimensional beings, gods, demons, aliens, swamp creatures, vampires, werewolves, supporters, and more, to become active participants of the work we love through a monthly membership. This gives you access to exclusive content, community, and insight into our creative process. In exchange, we gain a bit more freedom to do our best work and the stability we need to build an even stronger creative career. We currently have 2 tiers. The first tier is the $1 a month. That's $1 a month or $12 a year. And what that will get you is early access to the playthroughs, as well as the ability to participate in patron-only posts. Now, if you're feeling a little frisky and you want to join the Friends of the Show section of every single Ultra Confusion Thursday Hangout, that's the $5 a month. That's $5 a month or $60 a year tier. And what that gets you, of course, is your name and organization added to the Friends of the Show section of every single Thursday Hangout, as well as everything you had at the $1 tier. So if you want to become a patron of Ultra Confusion, go to Patreon. That's patreon.com/alteredconfusion today. And Zealeus is correct. $5, not even a cost of coffee anymore. Which is sad.
Crazy what $5 gets you nowadays.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know that you are also dying to know, how do I get my hands on some of that sweet merch that I see Charlie sporting these days? That, of course, all you got to do is go to alteredconfusion.tv/merch, and you too can have a hat like this, or maybe you want a vinyl sticker, or a coffee cup, or a pet food bowl, or a notebook. I think that's all that's there, but I could be wrong. I can never remember.
Yeah.
Flip-flops are gone. So sorry. But anyways, if you, like I said, if you wanted your own Alter Confusion swag, go to alterconfusion.tv/merch. And of course, we've got one more shout out we got to give, and that, of course, is, ladies and gentlemen, Alter Confusion is proud to say we have been fundraising for Extra Life for 14 years straight. Extra Life is gamers doing what they do best: game, to help sick and injured children at their chosen Children's Miracle Network hospital. The money that we raise through Extra Life will go directly to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta as unrestricted funds. This means that the hospital decides where and how to spend the money to ensure the dollars we raise make the biggest impact in the lives of the kids they treat. So, if you have the capacity to donate, go to extra-life.org and search for Altered Confusion. All right. Back to the stories.
There's always more stories. What?
Let's talk about the shady shit that's going down with Amazon. Ladies
Isn't
and
there
gentlemen,
always
if you have an Echo speaker or Dot or whatever, you have Alexa in your house somewhere. There is a small little change that's happening tomorrow. And that change, of course, is that the ability to basically stop Amazon from getting your voice recordings sent to them, that option is going to disappear, and all of your voice recordings are going to go to Amazon, which, of course, they promise that they are going to utilize the voice recordings to basically train and then immediately delete them. The way it used to be, if you had the privacy setting turned on, was that your home device would be the one who would basically get the recording, would then extrapolate the words from there, and then only the text would be sent out, and then, of course, the return response to whatever your question was or action would be executed to the Alexa. But now that, no matter what, that will still happen on your device, but also that voice recording will also be transferred to Amazon Prime, I guess. I don't know. Amazon Omega, not Omega. Amazon
Overlord.
Alpha. I don't know. The big brain of Amazon.
Well, of course, as this demonstrates, anything they say today that, hey, we're deleting it once we use it, they can change that tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the biggest thing, is there's not a thing you can do about it, really, short of basically not using it. Yeah. So I'm not surprised, but it's privacy basically doesn't exist unless you really go out of your way to try to keep it.
And even then, what you think might be private still is probably not private. Like the fun fact of your incognito mode in Chrome isn't actually as incognito as you would like to think.
The one that always creeps me out is I'm on one device doing something.
Yeah.
And then I go like on another device, I'm like scrolling Facebook, and the ads are tailored towards what I just looked at 5 minutes ago on my other device.
Yep.
I'm like, you bastards.
Mm-hmm.
Spying on me.
Oh, always.
You are connected to the tubes. The tubes are not your tubes. They are other people's tubes.
You just have the ability to access said tubes. That's the only thing. You have no rights in there.
Yep. Basically, assume once it leaves your house, it's anyone can see it.
Yep. And of course, as always, once posted on the internet, always on the internet. Doesn't matter how many times you request for it to be removed. Doesn't matter who you are, CW. Once that Powder Puff trailer is out there, it's out there forever. There's always going to be a copy. So, anyways. Yes. Okay, so I have two questions that that I was asked to talk about on the show. The first one is something that I keep forgetting is actually a thing, and that is Steam trade cards. They're like, do you care? The question was, do you care about them, or what do you do with them? And I'm like, I keep forgetting that they actually exist. So, it makes a huge impact in my life. Not.
And I know years ago, Charlie always wanted mine. And I'm like, no, I'm going to hold on for them ever. It's going to be my retirement plan. Some people have Funko Pops. I have Steam cards.
I just had copies that I just wanted to pawn off on people so that I could, yes, I went through a small phase, phase of trying to get the collection for the cards of the games I really liked. Like I was trying to get all the Paladin cards.
I don't even see Steam cards. I don't even know.
But to be honest with you, I don't feel like Steam used to say you've got new cards, but I don't think maybe that got turned that notification got turned off on Steam for me now, because I know there are certain games that I'll I'll go to in my library and click on that game and it'll be like, look at these cards that you've gained. I'm like, I didn't even know this game had cards, but okay. So yeah, that I think that basically answers that question. Okay, it's just another cool thing to collect. I pay more attention to the achievement unlocks than I do you did whatever to unlock this card.
Yeah, I'm even trying to figure out how to find my cards, and it's such a big deal.
Yeah,
that I'm having a hard time finding it. And I'm sure somebody who cares would be like, "Oh, it's right there, duh." But yeah,
I remember the one of the reasons why the Steam Greenlight basically had to do a total revamp was you had a bunch of people who would give away their greenlit games for free to people, and then it would create cards that people could turn around and sell for real money. And because the game wasn't out there to a lot of people, you could make some serious bank on those cards for those crazy people who are like, I have to have everything.
Apparently, I didn't even know there's a community market on Steam where you can buy and sell stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing, honestly.
Oh, yeah. I think I have 18 cents now for the cards I've sold.
Well, there's other things. I guess there's Counter-Strike 2 cases. I don't know what those are.
Sure.
But those are a thing that you can sell.
Sure. You could sell anything and everything.
I want to sell your soul.
That's unavailable. Sorry.
Damn it. What about $5?
Sorry, still unavailable.
All right. Well, that's all I got tonight. So
okay.
I guess you can keep it for now.
Okay. Well, thank you, Zealeus. Okay. So the other question I had, and we kind of already went over this because of Hogwarts Legacy. But the question was, how long are you willing to? Well, okay. So let me step back, because Hogwarts Legacy was amazing when it first came out. So this question is slightly different than it does not really pertain to Hogwarts Legacy. The question was, how long are you willing to wait for a game that should be good to be good?
I don't really think I have a time frame. And by that I mean, if it eventually becomes good, I'll be like, cool, bro. Cyberpunk 2077 is probably a good example.
Yeah.
Where, even though when it came out it was broken, it's not like I had in my mind a 1 year cycle where after 1 year wasn't good, I just wasn't going to forget about it. If it took 5 years, 10 years, if it eventually became good, then in my mind, okay, cool, bro. At that point, it's good. Now I know I can go ahead and get it. So I guess that's probably how I look at it. But I think to the kind of crux of the question is the other issue that happens is Cyberpunk's probably a outlier because they have a big enough developer and publisher behind it where they could ride the tide to be able to fix it. Where other publishers or developers, if a game comes out and it's borked, people aren't going to necessarily buy the game and then wait for it to be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
I think is the issue. So like, especially smaller shops, as we see, and we're talking every week about, developers who are closing down,
Yep.
people aren't going to necessarily, especially for smaller studios, buy the game in anticipation of waiting it for it to get better.
True.
I'm actually seeing this a lot right now in honestly, the ARP. So I've been playing a lot of AR. That's been like the last year. The thing I've been playing is ARPGs. And I feel like that's very much a thing in that scene right now where it's like these games come out early access. Like Last Epoch was early access forever. Dragonkin's one that just came out earlier this month, early access. Path of Exile 2 is early access. So it's like you have like it's almost like the new theme in this genre, and it's almost like people, and I'm one of them, are kind of in a way paying to hope it does become good, I guess, in that genre. So I guess maybe I'm a sucker in that regard. But to me, in a way, it kind of works for me in ARPGs because they're the definition of a live service game, if you think about it. Like they're meant to have those seasons and to be ongoing. Versus if a single player game, and if I buy a single player game and it sucks, I'm probably never going to touch it again, to be honest. Okay, well, that sucked. I'm now going to move on with my life. Versus an online ARPG where I'm interacting with other people, then it's a very different environment. We're like, okay, and I know they're going to be releasing like 5 more classes in the next year. So I know I have like entirely new gameplay experience. That's also kind of core to the ARPG formula.
I would say that kind of what Zealeus, to go along with what Zealeus was saying, I think that if a game has a true kind of like path outlined of this is how we're going to make it better, instead of a game dropping and then they're like, we'll make it better, and then but they won't say how or what their plan is. With the games like what Zealeus is talking about, where you're gonna that there's gonna be new content that's dropping, additional classes, stat buffs or whatever. You understand what is in the works. That definitely would allow me personally to wait longer than someone dropping something and say, oh yeah, that's broken, we're going to try to fix it, and then ghosting everybody and then having people just cross their fingers and hope that shit works. I don't know. But at the same time, I think it also, especially with single player, is how far off were they when it was deemed no bueno. Was it like you get into the Batmobile and now you've crashed the entire game where you can no longer exit the Batmobile, and if you try to leave Gotham City, it will crash your game? That's very, very bad. And I would probably be like, you know what? I will find another game to play. But if it's something like, I don't know, maybe some more like aesthetics or like background world building stuff, then it's long. The thing is, for me, when I play a game, I'm looking for escapism. If you're constantly basically beating me upside the head with, oh, I'm sorry, you can't do this, now I gotta pull myself back and like try to reestablish that escapism. If you constantly basically make me slam on the brakes every 4 or 5 minutes, I'm not sticking around. But if I could find something that allows me to get immersed, like Zealeus was talking about Cyberpunk 2077. One of the very weird bugs that I found was that if you did quests and you were given a piece of clothing, for some reason, your entire equipment would be unequipped except for that one item that was given to you at the end of the quest that automatically got equipped. So
you're just trying it on. It's like a fashion statement, sir.
You had that, and also there were, but the thing is, for me, yes, I will fully admit that I did play for a couple hours, where apparently all I was wearing was a biker jacket, and my manly windsock was just kind of, out there for everyone to see for, 2-ish hours. But it didn't.
Escapism, man. Things you can't do in real life, you can do in video games.
But the thing is, did that bug stop me from being able to continue to play? No, obviously, because I played 2 additional hours before. I was like, why the fuck am I getting destroyed by enemies that I'm supposed to be owning? And then, like, I look at my inventory, and sure enough, all I'm wearing is a jacket. My boots are gone, my pants are gone, my shirt is gone, my hat is gone. I mean, ugh. Another thing for Cyberpunk 2077 is that there was a weird kind of, there were certain times or certain areas that if you fell just wrong, didn't matter the distance, but if you fell just wrong, I guess on a single pixel of vertices or whatever, that it would be instant death.
Nice.
And so, yes, it happened a couple times, but at the same time, I could quick load back in and, continue on my way. So it wasn't too bad. One of the things that a game I'm playing right now, Avowed. For the love of God, developers, if you are going to have dialogue where you're going to see the NPC's mouth moving, at least look like you're trying to attempt to lip sync it. Because, oh dear God. But has it stopped me from playing? No, it has not. I'm still killing bad guys and probably making poor decisions. Although it still irks me that, speaking of Skyrim, if in any of these Elder Scroll games, if you were to walk into a town or anyone's house and start stealing shit in front of people, they would call the city guard. In Avowed, you can literally steal everything, and no one says a thing. It's like, look at my wares. Okay, whoop, 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 whoop. And you can sell it back to them. I always
wonder, in games like that, because you have like some kind of in-game economy and developers are expecting you to have, after quest X, a certain amount of like gold and inventory to buy weapon Y. I wonder if they go with the assumption that players are, pillaging the entire town for stuff or not.
I don't know. I mean, in Avowed, the thing is, and maybe I'm playing it wrong. I don't know. But my equipment, my weapon, my shield, my bow, and my armor, and my boots, and my gauntlet, and my rings, all of that was found either via quest or off of a dead body. I don't go to the stores and buy equipment. The only stuff I buy from stores is as many health potions as they have, because they have they have a limited number. So I just buy the entire stock. I always buy all the lock picks if they've got them, and then all the mana potions. Although I've not really been using a lot of spells, so I've got quite the surplus of mana potions right now. Nice. But like the ingredients for improving your equipment, you can basically find off of dead bodies. Either there are dead bodies that are just there, that they're just skeletal remains or a book bag, or there's a shit ton of chests everywhere, or you get off most of the enemies that you fight. If you fought 5 enemies, you might have 2 guys who have random, a cursed stick or an ingot of cold steel or something, and you can use that. You can break down weapons and armor for components to like further have like crafting stuff. I don't really buy a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I was thinking, because I know we talked about crafting in games, and I think you and I personally don't do it a lot in. Yeah. One game I did do it in was, oh gosh, what is that game? What was the RPG that Kurt Schilling backed?
Oh, that's the
Reckoning?
Amalur.
Amalur.
Yeah.
I did crafting in Amalur because it was like super straightforward.
Yeah.
Like I just remember like it was so straightforward to craft in. It was Kingdoms of Avalor, wasn't it?
Yes, Kingdoms of Amalur, the reckoning.
Yeah,
Was the re-release.
but like it was so straightforward. We're like,
yeah,
I don't remember now because it's been years since I played it. But like that's one game where like you didn't even think about it. It's like you had the mats or you didn't. You didn't have to go doing crazy things. Like, oh yeah, it was like a very obvious upgrade to your weapon too. It wasn't like, well, it gives +2 to strength, -2 to dexterity. So really have to weigh the pros and cons. It's like it was either an upgrade for your character or didn't. So for me, for single player games, that's where I like okay with crafting. When a game like that, where I'm like, oh, okay, I need 2 more ingots. I know exactly where to get that without having to like overthink this.
Yeah, no, and when it comes to crafting, for me, there, like in a Val, the only crafting I'm doing is to like, when I'm in my camp, you can open up the basically like the forge area where you can improve the items you have.
Yep.
And that's like it. I'm not I'm not building brand new items, or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, but in crafting in general, if there's not like some additional reward for doing it, I'm not going to do it. If I, combining this stick of butter with this fish and, I don't know, herbs allows me to have plus 20 more health points recovered, when on in like comparison to just eat the fucking herbs and the stick of butter and the fish. I'm gonna eat the stick of butter, the fish, and the herbs. I'm not gonna make the
very healthy, man.
I'm not gonna make the damn fish fillet.
Yeah. No, I think most people are honestly in the same boat.
Do I get a bonus off of, I've crafted 100 items? No? Okay, then I'm not doing it.
Yep. I hear that.
But that's just me. I mean, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there just like me. But yeah. What was the question to start with? Oh! How long will we wait for a game that should have been good to actually get good? I think I kind of, as long as I can get immersed, I can roll with it. If I can't get immersed, but there's an actual plan of action, and that plan of action is followed, then I'll stick with it. Or, one move that Zealeus likes to do is just wait for the gold edition to come out, where you get all the expansion, all that shit a couple years later, and you've got the full game. You don't have to be a day one adapter.
Yep. Admit to that, brother.
So for those out there who may know, Nintendo did a Nintendo Direct today. It's like a showcase of this is what Nintendo's up to, which is kind of weird because apparently they're doing like a Nintendo Direct for the Switch 2, like in like a week or two. So they're weirdly spaced out. But real quick, there were a couple of titles that were shadow dropped today. And for those out there who don't know what shadow drop means, is that there's no like build up. There was no nothing. All of a sudden, poof! 3 games are available for purchase, and those 3 games are Disney Villains Cursed Cafe, Rift of the Necro Dancer, and Saga Frontier 2 Remastered. Saga Frontier 2, or hell, Saga Frontier is a fun RPG. Harkens back to, it's kind of like an old school Final Fantasy alternate, substitute, whatever you want to say. If hypothetically I once upon a time hypothetically did emulations and had ROMs, which I would never do because that's illegal, but I would have probably played like Saga Frontier on I think it was Super Nintendo, or maybe it was the Sega Genesis. No, I think it was a Super Nintendo. Hypothetically, though, I would never do that because that's illegal.
And we would never do such a thing.
But yeah. Also, pre-orders are now up for Radio Remastered, Gradius Origins, Star Overdrive, and Monument Valley 1 and 2.
So many options, so little time.
I played Monument Valley 1. I felt like, I could be wrong, but I thought that's start off its life as a cell phone game, maybe? Or maybe it got released on PC and cell phone at the same time? I don't remember. Anyways, now I'm just rambling.
Who knows? I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? Dang it, I had something else I wanted to tell Zealeus and everybody, but I have now blanked out on it, so I can't tell you now.
Well, my life is less incomplete than it ever was now.
Oh, sorry, Zealeus. I failed.
It's going to keep me up at night wondering, what was he thinking?
What was Charlie thinking?
I'm going to call him every 18 minutes asking, do you remember yet? Do you remember yet? Do you remember yet?
Good thing I put my phone on Do Not Disturb when I go to bed.
I will hack your phone.
That's okay, Zealeus. You don't have to do that. I'm not that special.
Just trying to help you out, man. I want to help you remember your forgotten thoughts.
Sure, we can go with that. Well, all right. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've reached the end of our show. So, without further ado, I want to thank everyone for tuning into the Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout. For myself, Charlie, and Zealeus, it's been a pleasure giving you our heads, our mouths, and of course, our hearts. We'll be back next Thursday? Yes. No, not next Thursday. Zealeus will be in Zimbabwe.
Indeed.
Right? Okay.
Indeed.
We'll try to figure something out for next Thursday. Probably some streaming.
There you go.
Being honest. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.
Remember, kids, keep on gaming in the free world.
Amen to that, brother.